everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today is a super fun tutorial. It is definitely not a usual one for my channel. You guys are used to seeing kind of Tumblr tutorials and other resin related crafts, but I'm going to kind of switch gears and kind of focus on sort of the business side of your craft business. So I'm going to show you how to create your thank you cards and business cards in Procreate as well as in Canva. So I'll give you a couple options and different tips and things that you can use while using either program so that you can create some beautifully designed thank you cards and business cards and then get those sent off to Vistaprint, Sticker Mule, whatever entity you like to use to get your cards printed. So of course, anything that I do use in today's tutorial will be listed and linked down in the description. There's not a whole lot of products obviously for today, but I will still have some discount codes for you for any of the products that I use in my normal day-to-day crafting. You'll also find links to all of my social media, so I encourage you to join me on those social media platforms and engage with me there as well. Before you leave, give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any ideas, tips, or tricks, definitely make sure to share those down in the comment section down below. I love reading all of your comments. I love engaging with you guys, and I even learn a lot of things from you guys well down in the comments. So definitely leave those down below. So let's go ahead and get started on today's tutorial. All right, so let's get started. The first thing though that I do want to say is that everything that I'm going to show you today, I did not learn on my own. I actually learned from an amazing woman. Her name is Morgan. She is the face behind That Little Logo Lady on Instagram. She has her own mentorship group that she runs on Facebook, and I've learned all the tips and tricks that I'm going to show you here in Procreate from her. So I encourage you to check her out. I'll link everything about her and her group down in the description box. And yeah, so definitely check her out. So we're going to focus on thank you cards today. I was going to add some business cards to this, but this video was already pretty long that I figured I'd just show you thank you cards, and then of course you can size them and create your designs and size them to business cards appropriate. So I am now in Procreate and I've selected the plus sign to create a canvas. I've created a new canvas size and we are sizing this in inches to 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall, and that is the size of a postcard, which is what we're going to have these printed in from Vistaprint. So the first thing I'm showing you is sort of my palette. I've already put together the palettes that match my brand. Obviously, you are going to want to pick what matches and works best for you. So the first thing I'm going to start with is I am going to select a round brush, which is in the painting section, and I'm going to make this rather wide, and I'm going to start with the color pink. So I am just going to kind of brush a few strokes of pink on there, then switch to blue, and then of course I will finally switch to purple to kind of complete my 3 brand colors that are kind of my colors of choice for my brand. So now that I have those 3 colors, I am going to go to this little magic stick button up at the top, and I'm going to click Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to drag my pencil until it is blurred to my liking. So obviously the farther to the right that you go, the more blurred it is. If you go back towards the left, you will have less of a blurred look. So now we're going to add another layer. I've told you guys this before, but layers are so important. Layers are absolutely important when you are working in Procreate, and so you want to make sure that each time you're adding new elements that you are adding a new layer. So I have a few animal print brushes, and I'm going to of course be adding some leopard print to this. I will also link the brushes and where I've downloaded them from down in the description box down below so that you can download those to your Procreate as well. So I am just going to select the color white. I'm going to make my leopard print white and just kind of make my brush a little bit wide. So I selected that slider up a little bit higher. And now what I'm going to do is go to my leopard print layer, and I'm going to click the little N. And then once you click that little N, it will show you the opacity. I'm going to lower the opacity so it's not so abrasive and white and kind of in your face. I kind of want to make that a little bit more transparent. So now it is time to add text. So in order to add text, you're just going to go up to that little wrench button and you're just going to select add text. You don't need to add a new layer when you are adding text, because once you click add text, it automatically duplicates and adds a new text. So I'm going to select a font from my fonts that I've downloaded here in my library of fonts, whichever one I choose to like. I'm going to increase the size by going to the design tab and making it a little bit larger. picture, and then I'm just going to adjust and move my thank you down a little bit. So I want to make sure it is not too close to the top, because when you are printing anything from Vistaprint, you also have to account for the bleed, and so you would hate to have something too close to the top and then have it get cut off when it's printed. So another trick and something that I learned from Morgan is to turn my drawing guide on. So if you go to the wrench tab again and you go to Canvas, you are going to select drawing guide, make sure it's on, it's toggled on, and then click edit drawing guide, and then you'll be able to increase your sort of symmetry. So you'll select grid size all the way to the right, and that will give you kind of this four square box here. So now that I've done this, this is going to help me sort of align everything together. So I'm going to add another layer of text, and I'm going to type in exactly what I want my thank you card to say, which is just something super simple. Thank you for supporting my small business. Your order made my day. Okay, so once I've got that sized, I'm going to select a font that I love, and I'm probably going to select more of like a bulky or kind of more of a bubble font versus like this calligraphy that I have for thank you. So I'm going to play with the sizing a little bit again and kind of make it to the size that I want, and then I'm going to select a font that kind of will go with the thank you but isn't the exact same font. I like to do a little bit of an interchanging between that calligraphy, then kind of more of a print font, then going back to calligraphy, kind of like in every other. It just makes it look a little bit cleaner. It kind of stands out a little bit better, and you're better able to read all the different messaging on your card. So now that I have those two already placed on here, we are going to continue to add more text and kind of get this, thank you card filled out. So instead of going to the add text button, you also can go to your layers and toggle any of your text buttons to the layers to the left and select duplicate. I like to do this especially if I am going to be using one or two fonts. I'll just duplicate the font layer that I like and then change the wording, the sizing, etc. so that it fits. So now I'm going to be adding a little bit of more to my thank you card here, including my social media, because of course I want anyone who purchases from me to be able to follow me on my other accounts as well, hopefully being able to tag me when they post videos and pictures of the new products that they've received. So I've now got follow me on social media here, and we are going to get that placed sort of in the lower left hand side, but kind of close to that middle thank you section. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the different logos for the platforms that I'm on. So a couple ways that you can do this. So you'll see that I went to my brushes. You can download brushes that are specific for social media. So you can download social media brushes. So it's literally just a stamp that you download, and you can just stamp it right into your canvas, and it will give you that little stamp, that logo of whatever platform you're on. The other way that you can do this is you can download from Google just a transparent background of any of the logos and platforms that you're on, which I find to be the easiest versus kind of using the stamp way. But to each their own, whichever you choose to do. But I just have them always saved, and so I haven't downloaded the brushes because I didn't feel like it was important. So I'm going to go back to that little wrench tab, and I've already downloaded, or I've already input the Instagram into my canvas. I'm now going to download Facebook. So for Facebook, you'll notice that I do not have a transparent background of my Facebook font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the Facebook logo. That way I can have that in the color that I want. So I've selected my monoline brush, which is in the calligraphy tab, and I'm just going to trace my Facebook logo that I've already downloaded from Google. So this takes a little bit of time, okay? So you'll notice that I'm like dragging my pen, which is the color ink, or the color black, and I'm dragging it and then holding it, because then my line will snap into place. This is really helpful when you're doing things like straight lines, and even when you're creating like circles and curves, and I'm actually going to show you something like that a little bit later. But super helpful when you are choosing and having to trace things so that you don't have to, struggle so much, especially if you don't have a super steady hand, which I definitely do not. So tracing takes a little bit of time, of course, but you also want to make sure, which I forgot to mention, when I input the photo, What I also did was I added a new layer on top of the photo. That way I could trace over top of this image, okay? It's so important. Like I said, layers are so important. So definitely make sure that you are putting a layer on top of anything. Otherwise, once you try to delete this, you'd be deleting everything and all your work as well. So now I'm going to draw my circle, and I'm going to make a circle, and then I'm going to select the edit shape. I'm going to select circle, and then I will just move that circle into place. So now that that is done, I'm just going to use my eraser, and I'm just going to erase my little bottom section here, because I obviously don't need a full circle for the Facebook logo, so that it looks exactly like it should, and clean up any corners and lines that looked a little funny to me. And then I am going to delete the original picture, and I'm going to drag and drop the color white into the Facebook logo, and I will also drop it into the lining, so the lining is white as well. So everything sort of matches here. So I hope that makes sense. I know I'm going kind of fast here, and I wanted to make this a little bit longer, but I didn't want to make it too long for everyone to sit through. But if you have questions about anything I did, definitely make sure that you drop a comment down below, send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I'd be more than willing to help you through this process. So I'm going to continue the same exact tracing process that I did with the Facebook logo with the TikTok logo, and get this traced so that I have that logo as well and can add that to the bottom. So I'm going to speed through the session, and then we will move on to the next step of this process. All right, so we're just going to speed through this TikTok process right here, just me tracing the outline, and then once I get to the end, I will just drag and drop the white color onto my logo, or onto the TikTok image, so it matches everything else. So now what I'm doing is I'm just using the little mouse button at the top here to select my different layers and make sure my 3 logos line up before I go ahead and select those 3 and merge those 3 by just pinching my 2 fingers, my pointer finger and my thumb together, to merge those together. That way they move as one unit, okay? So now I'm just playing around and just adjusting things, because I want to also add my handle, obviously, under my under all of the platforms that I'm on. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough room towards the bottom, that again, I wasn't going to run into an issue with it cutting off when you load them into Vistaprint or when you get them printed, and making sure I could account for the bleed. So I just duplicated the thank you for your support line again, made that a little bit smaller by just using that little mouse button, and then typed in my handle, which is Lysha Be Creative, of course, on all platforms, and then put that directly under and centered right under my platforms that I'm on. So now I'm going to add a picture, and so you'll notice, obviously, I am not making this exactly as I did the first time. I wanted to do it so that it was a little bit able to be better understood, if that made sense. So I changed a few things. I wasn't specific with my fonts, because of course you're going to choose fonts and things that are best for you. So I just chose the quickest picture, if you will, and I just inserted that by going to the wrench button, selecting insert photo, and then just size that so it fit in that section. So you'll notice I went to my layers and I merged all of the text together. And so now what I'm going to do is, with that layer, I am going to duplicate it. So I'm going to show you again because my camera got cut off, sorry. So what I'm going to do is I duplicated my text layer. Okay, so you're going to watch me do that again. I'm going to swipe it to the left and I'm going to duplicate it. And then once I duplicate that layer, once I duplicate that layer, I am going to tap off the original layer, the top layer, and now I am going to add a layer over top so that I can change the color. Okay, so I'm just going to go to a round brush. I have the color black, but I'm going to change it to purple so you can see exactly what I did. Originally I just wanted the shadow to be black, but in order to show you, I changed it to purple so you could better see what I had done. So then I select the purple that I colored on top, I tap it, I click clipping mask, and then I go to Gaussian blur using that wrench after I've merged those 2 layers together, and I've blurred it. And this is going to create that shadow or hue behind. And then in order to make that thicker, all you need to do is swipe that same layer to the left and duplicate it a couple times, and you'll see now that that hue of purple is much larger and much deeper than before. So now that I'm done with that, all you do is select the wrench button, you select shift share, and then you are going to save it or download it to your images as a PNG. So I am going to quickly walk you through this process as well. The front part, which is super simple and just as easy as the back portion of the card. So I'm creating the same gradient that I did on the front side. I'm just showing you again kind of exactly how we did this. So I did my 3 colors in order. I'm on the same layer, okay? I'm on all in the same layer. And then once I have my 3 colors on there, I'm going to select the little magic wand, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to make it blurred. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a photo. So I already have a transparent background of my logo. I'm just going to make sure that's centered because I already have my grid lines up. And then that's the front side of my card. So I'll just upload that or download that as in PNG, and then I'm good to go. So now it's time to walk you through how to do this in Canva. So I've opened Canva, and I have the pro membership, so I have an actual membership with Canva. It's about $12.95 a month. I find it useful because I use it for my YouTube thumbnails and things like that, but you can also do this with the free version. So all I did was I went to the search tab in Canva and I selected postcard. You also can change the sizing if you have specific sizing that you want. These ones I'm going to be printing just on some cardstock at home here, so I don't really care what size they are because I'm not going to input these pictures into Vistaprint, if that makes sense. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Elements tab, and I have the, again, membership, so I'm able to grab any kind of gradient that I want. I just decided to look for a watercolor background, so I just typed in watercolor background, and I'm just going to look for a background that I like. I ended up finding this like pink, purple, and blue with like, I think it's got like little white stars, and just decided to choose that for my background here. So now I have that on my screen. I am just going to size that so that it fits the entire canvas that we're working on. And then once I have that, now I can begin to add my other layers. So of course, I'm going to try and duplicate exactly what we did before. So I'm going to add a little bit of layer of leopard print here as well. So I'm just going to look for a leopard print that kind of works for me. I kind of input a lot of things and then kind of remove them because I didn't care for them as much. So I ended up going with a super simple leopard print that I was actually able to change the colors on, which I liked because I was able to duplicate kind of that white transparent look that I was going for in the other document or in Procreate. So I'm just going to change both colors to be like a white, a light gray. So something that I can lower the opacity on and make it a little bit more transparent. That way the leopard print is present, but it's not so, again, in your face. So just tap the 3 dots at the top. I'm going to lower that opacity until it's something that I like. And now that I have that finished, now it's time to move on to all of my wording. So I will tell you, because I know you guys probably have used Canva before, Canva is probably the easier of the two to create your thank you cards. You don't have as much versatility, to me, I think, as Procreate. However, I have made some absolutely beautiful stickers, cards, lots of amazing things in Canva. So I definitely think that this is a perfect alternative for anybody who is just getting started. Maybe you're not looking to have your cards printed on through Vistaprint and you just want to print them at home. That's honestly how I started to save a little bit of extra money. I just used my own printer, some nice cardstock, and kind of that was what I did for a long time. So this is a really great, inexpensive, and cost-effective way to create your branding and be able to have some really beautiful looking thank you cards and business cards and care cards that you can put and pack inside of your orders. So I am just, again, continuing to add all of the same wording that I did on the original. But of course, if you guys have questions specific to what I did in either parts of this tutorial, definitely reach out to me. This probably will not be something that I continue to do on my channel, but I thought it was super fun and easy to be able to share with you guys. I probably will be doing a little bit more in-depth tutorials using Procreate in my Facebook group. So if you aren't already part of my Facebook group, I definitely encourage you to join me. We're definitely going to be focusing a little bit more on sort of the business aspect of things. We do tutorials every Friday, so I definitely encourage you to check that out as well. But it's a fantastic group. We, again, get together every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for tutorials, but I'm excited to be able to offer some business-related things as well. So I decided to change the color of my text to black. I just felt like it looked a little bit better on this background versus the white. So I just changed the colors. And so now I'm just going to continue to finish up kind of the wording here. So I'm just looking for another font. I ended up going back to the original one that I used to be able to kind of finish off this card. So again, it's going to say thank you. Thank you for supporting my small business. Your order made my day. And now I'm working on the social media section here. So for the social media section, I'm obviously going to put follow me on social media, which will kind of be the tagline. But when we go into adding sort of the logos for the different platforms that I am on, in Canva, it is much easier to add them than it is through Procreate. There's a lot more steps involved when you have to add it in Procreate. But in Canva, all you have to do is go to the Elements tab and just type in TikTok logo, Facebook logo, Instagram logo. And you can even type it in Facebook logo white. That way you get the white version of it or the black outlined version of it. It just makes it so much easier than in Procreate. So that is something that I do love in Canva, is that it's so super simple and easy to be able to find all the elements that you need. Although you're limited like creativity wise, right? Like I can't create like a super cute like gradient and blur like I can in Procreate. But I can do a lot of things really quick, really simple, really easy, spend maybe 20 to 30 minutes in Canva and come out with something absolutely stunning and absolutely amazing and something I'm proud to put inside of my packages. So again, I'm just going to finish grabbing all the logos that I need that represent all the platforms that I am on. And then of course I will add my sort of TikTok, or add my handle, if you will, at the bottom here in just a duplicated layer of one of the text layers. So I'm not going to add a picture to this like I did before. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. What I also love to do with these kinds of thank you cards is your thank you card and your business card, right? You want people to hang on to it. So the way that I love to be able to get people to hang on to these cards is by adding like sort of an additive, right? So I'm going to add a cute little heart on the side here where that empty space here is, if you will. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little discount code. So this is obviously not a valid discount code. I'm not going to put that on a card, but I thought it would be a super fun way to make people hang on to your business, you know, business pieces that you put inside of their packages. Because how many times do we get these beautiful thank you cards, right? But then they usually end up with the packaging in the trash, right? So what a fun way to be able to make sure that a customer is able to hang on to your information if you put that little sort of goodie for them as part of that card, so that they could potentially save and hopefully shop from you again. So I'm just going to find just a solid heart here, and I'm just going to size it a little bit smaller in that section there and change the color to black so that it matches the rest of the aesthetic of the card. And then I'm just going to add a little text overlay on top. So I'm just going to put, you know, use code, I think I put LBC10 here because that would save somebody to 10%, let's say. So it just is a super cute and fun way to be able to add to your cards, right? Maybe get a return customer from them seeing this sort of opportunity from your business and wanting to shop with you again. So hopefully you've impressed them enough with all of the little fun and snazzy things you've added into your packaging. But what a great addition to then be able to give them a small percentage off in your shop. So that would encourage them to continue to want to shop your business and shop your brand. So I'm just going to kind of finish up this card, and really that's kind of about it. I am going to show you guys kind of what both cards look like. I didn't do a front side to this thank you card. The ones that I typically were printing from home, I just was doing one-sided because then I would attach like a business card to it, which would have all the information someone would need to find me outside of my social media handles. So for these thank you cards, it's just one-sided, but I will show you both the cards I got printed from Vistaprint, as well as the cards that I created in Canva and then just printed on some cardstock here at home. So once my card's done, I'm just going to again download that to my computer as a PNG. That way I can just add that to as an image onto a Google Doc or whatever I'm using and be able to print those out. So here's a final look at everything. The front and back cards were made in Procreate and printed at Vistaprint, and then of course the cards I made in Canva printed on my home printer. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, give this video a huge thumbs up, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!